Hi, I'm GoFigglo's. I'm a self-proclaimed Team Fortress 2 rocket jumping expert. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever been playing TF2 as a soldier and thought to yourself, wow, I am wasting a lot of time walking from spawn to the cart over and over. If only there was a way for me to make this slow-ass character move any faster. Or maybe, I just saw a guy shoot a rocket at the ground instead of at the enemy team and go flying. What an idiot. Well, if you're confused about rocket jumping, how to do it, when to do it, why it's useful, why people spend hundreds, thousands of hours doing it, then I have good news for you. In this video series, I will be attempting to explain the incredibly masterful and complex art of rocket jumping, from the controls, to the game mechanics, to the practicality side of things as well. So stick around, you may learn something that helps you get those juicy frags in a casual match, or maybe just find a new hobby that is unique and fun. It takes a lot of time to master. Either way, I hope you enjoy. In the rocket jumping niche of TF2, there are maps that are made specifically for casual rocket jumping. There's no enemy players, no having to watch your health bar, and best of all, there's no bots. Chances are, if you've attempted to learn rocket jumping before, you may have ended up on one of these maps, moseyed on over to jump number 1, and immediately gotten stuck. You see a few people flying past you,
What's the matter, you freaking stupid?
and give up because it feels hopeless. Rocket jumping is super complex, with a lot of seemingly weird and pointless rules. For this part of the video, I'm going to go over the absolute basics of rocket jumping, the things you do for virtually every single jump. I'm going to be giving examples from one of the best maps for learning how to rocket jump, Jump Academy 2. Jump Academy is a group of TF2 jumpers that host servers specifically designed for rocket and sticky jumping. They have their own dedicated servers for the Jump Academy 2 map, the IPs of which I have in the description for you, so you can just hop on and start jumping. JA2 has 17 courses, each dedicated to a specific technique of rocket jumping. The courses are separated into easy, medium, and hard levels, with each step up becoming much more difficult for a new player. It's designed to challenge you immensely and force you to break the bad habits. In this video, I'm going to cover the first 3 easy courses: Strafe, Walls, and Pogo. Before I run through these courses though, let's go over a basic rocket jump and some other useful tips. To do a basic rocket jump, all you need to do is press jump, crouch, and shoot, all at the same time. Jumping and shooting here is self-explanatory, but crouching allows you to get a much higher jump than just jumping and shooting, so you always want to use crouch and jump together. You can do this basic rocket jump anywhere, off the ground, off of walls, whatever you need to do to complete the jump. We'll come back to the specifics of where to aim in a few minutes for wall shots, but for now, here's some other general tips. You want to get comfortable with your mouse sensitivity and definitely make sure that mouse acceleration is disabled on your computer. You also want to choose a rocket launcher to use, either stock or the original, and stick with it always. Never switch launchers for particular jumps just because it makes it easier, as this will mess up the muscle memory you're trying to build and make the learning process take much longer. As far as the 2 different launchers go, the original shoots from the center of your screen, while the stock rocket launcher shoots from the right side. Both are equally effective for jumping, and neither have any advantages over the other, so just choose the one that you like the most or have experience with already. With that out of the way, let's talk about the most important movement mechanic, strafing. Strafing is the most fundamental part of not only rocket jumping, but playing TF2 in general. It allows you to move with total precision while flying through the air, placing yourself exactly where you want to go. TF2 runs on the Source engine, which has some weird physics quirks that allow you to basically steer yourself around in midair by strafing. To do this, there are 2 steps. Hold a strafe key in the direction you want to turn, move your mouse in the direction you want to turn. Your strafe keys for 99% of regular movement are A and D. A for turning left, D for turning right. All you have to do to strafe is start off facing in the direction you're currently moving in. Hold A or D and turn your mouse in the corresponding direction. It's super simple in theory, but can be tough to get the hang of in practice. Strafing actually causes you to accelerate in the air a tiny bit, which allows your path through the air to be a smooth curve. This can be an advantage or a disadvantage depending on the situation. Now is a good time to explain one of those weird behaviors of the Source engine. If you are moving through the air and looking in a certain direction, Holding a movement key in the opposite direction of your movement direction based on where you're looking will slow you down. It's kind of hard to explain, but for example, if you're moving and looking in the same direction, holding S will slow you down and eventually stop you, since S represents the opposite direction of the way you're moving relative to the direction you're facing. Similarly, if you're moving forward but looking 90 degrees to the right, holding D will cause the same effect, since D represents the opposite of your movement direction when you're looking to the right. Another thing to keep in mind when strafing is the speed that you move your mouse. There's a limit to how fast you can strafe or change directions in TF2, unlike other Source Engine games like CSGO or Gmod. If you move your mouse too fast, you will lose a ton of speed. One of, if not the most important thing about strafing is to not hold W in the air, ever. I cannot emphasize this enough. Holding W in the air messes up your strafes because of the way strafing works with the Source Engine. It totally removes your ability to easily control yourself. Holding W is a tough habit to break, especially if you play other games where holding W is required. Just remember and keep it in your mind that when you start learning, do not hold W in the air. You are already moving forward because of your rockets, you just need to steer yourself. Here's a run through of the strafe course, where you can see what buttons I'm pressing here. Keep an eye on the speed that I move my mouse and when I press certain strafe keys. You can always rewatch some parts to understand what I'm doing if you're confused or stuck on a jump. Okay, so that was strafing. Now we move on to walls. Wall jumping is essentially just shooting a wall next to you in the air to propel yourself in all sorts of ways to clear gaps or other obstacles. To start a wall jump off, you want to understand where you're trying to go. Do you need to go up or sideways for this particular jump? Is it about speed or height, or both? Knowing this will help you with your first shot off the starting point. If you need to go up more, aim more at the floor for your first shot, which is just a basic rocket jump. If you need speed or distance, aim at the wall more. Aiming right about here, at the bottom of the wall just a bit above the floor, is usually a good start for most wall jumps. Just remember to jump, crouch, and shoot at the same time from here. The next part of wall jumping is your wall shots. Once you're off the ground, you always want to hold your crouch key. This actually decreases the size of your hitbox from the legs up, causing your rockets to be able to go from their origin point to underneath you to boost yourself up and keep you in the air. Once you do your starting basic rocket jump, you want to lightly strafe back into the wall you're trying to shoot off of. Now comes the task of aiming your wall shot. Aiming up and behind you gives speed, aiming under you gives you height. This part is best learned through experimentation. If you fly downwards, you're probably aiming too high. If you lose speed or stop completely, you probably aim too far in front of yourself, etc. Once you get the first basic rocket jump and one wall shot, to do more, you just repeat the steps of strafing back into the wall if needed and shooting in a good direction. Another integral part of rocket jumping with walls is called a wall climb. During a wall climb, you're facing a wall and shooting it to climb up it. When you're wall climbing, you always want to hold W to keep yourself on the wall, and since you don't have to worry about steering or strafing at all, it's okay to hold W for this. Holding W will keep you glued onto the wall so your rockets don't pop you off of it. So after doing a basic rocket jump, you keep holding crouch and W to get against the wall, then just start shooting as soon as you can so you don't unnecessarily lose any vertical speed. The angle that you aim your shots for wall climbing is something you have to figure out yourself. It's not quite straight down, just a little bit above it. If you start slowing down while you're shooting, you're aiming too low, and if you pop off the wall too far, you're probably aiming too high. Once you find the right angle, all you do is hold mouse 1, W, and crouch, and you'll be gliding effortlessly up the wall. You can also use A and D to keep yourself going straight up and stop drifting. That's basically all you need for most basic wall jumps like the ones on the JA2 Easy Walls course. Before I run through the course though, here are some examples of common mistakes that I see a lot, where I'll explain what is going wrong. So if you're having trouble, see if what you're doing looks like any of these clips to try to diagnose what you're doing wrong. Remember the part in Strafing where I was talking about slowing yourself down with your movement keys? This is where it most often happens, on accident right when you're going back into the wall for a wall shot. A helpful tip for this is to always be looking forward whenever you're not about to shoot a rocket. This lets you strafe with more control and reduces the chance you have of slowing yourself down unintentionally. Another good tip if you're struggling with this is to release your strafe keys as soon as you start moving toward the wall for your wall shot. For wall jumps and rocket jumping in general, it's super important to be relaxed. You don't want your wall shots to be crazy, uncontrolled flicks. This just causes inconsistency and a lack of precision. With all that in mind, here's my run through of the Easy Walls course. Okay, now for the last topic of this video, Pogo. Pogo is exactly what it sounds like. You're using your rockets to bounce yourself along without touching the ground. There are some basic tips for learning Pogo, such as making sure you're always holding crouch and not holding W. Pogo is all about being relaxed, so just keep calm and remember if you start drifting or gaining too much speed, simply use your strafe keys to cancel out that momentum and regain control. Aiming your rockets while pogoing is simple. Aim down or close to straight down while you're moving slow, and as you gain speed, begin to aim up in front of you a bit. Looking up allows you to shoot your rocket and give it time to catch up with yourself, so that it lands directly underneath you, which is always what you want.
Pain is weakness leaving the...
It takes some experience to be able to feel when to start looking up as you gain speed, but it gets easier and easier as you keep practicing. A helpful tip for controlling yourself as well as navigating through some jumps that are long pogo jumps is to look up in between your rockets. This is similar to looking forward when you're on a wall, but for this you just want to look up quickly to gauge where you're going if needed. Just make sure you're aiming back down fast enough for your next shot. When pogoing, you steer as if you're in the air using A and D to turn, but be careful, recall that strafing accelerates you a small amount. and while it might not be noticeable for walls or strafing courses, you'll gain speed quickly while pogoing and strafing around side to side. So just keep yourself under control, remember which direction you're going, keep an eye on your speed to make sure you don't start moving too quick, and adjust your aim accordingly. Here's the run through of Easy Pogo. Alright, that's going to be all for this video. I intend to make videos like this for all the courses on Jump Academy 2, providing useful information and explaining things that took me way too long to figure out myself as I was learning. Feel free to ask any questions in the comments or provide feedback on the structure or information in this video. If you feel that I missed something important, leave a comment so that I'll pin it so people will see it. In the next video, we'll cover the other 3 easy courses, Sync, Jerf, and Mixed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next installment of GoFigglo's rocket jumping tutorials.